Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going over UFC 293, Adesanya versus Strickland. First things first, hit the subscribe button, give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there's social media, there is the Stats and Stacks podcast. Give this video a like. Listen, it's been one hell of a week. We've been on like a personal level. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of time, being real busy here. I was able to do all the notes. I don't have all the notation with me, but we're just gonna rock and roll, keep it moving, baby. Because we did a lot of fight tape. We know a lot of these fighters. Luckily, it's a pay-per-view card, so we're very familiar with basically all of these fighters. So the work was done. Just because I don't have it in front of me, let's see how this works out. But at the end of the day, I know last week we went, I'm going to count it 3 for locks. Again, I try not to lock low level heavyweight and women's MMA. I try to do everything I can not to lock those fighters. I did originally lock Manon. I realized, you know what, that's women's MMA. I can't do that. I'm going to put another lock out there and kind of switch her out. But Manon did win. Everyone else won as well. Everyone had a winning week last week because only one dog hit, and it was honestly a straight pick 'em. And she didn't even truly win the fight. I had money on Cornell, or however you say her name, but God, it didn't feel good. I didn't win that bet. But the judges gave it to us, so we'll take it. And this week is the complete opposite. I see a whole bunch of dogs just coming through and barking. This is a crapshoot here. God bless anyone parlaying this week. I know I'll be doing it, but I don't expect. I'm honestly going in expecting to get screwed somewhere. I'm just trying to pinpoint where, because it's going to be one tricky card. A lot of hometown cooking, just like last week. So we're in Sydney, Australia. So let's just go ahead and dive right into this, because this is going to be a real shaky card. I mean, it starts shaky right off the bat. We have two newcomers coming into the UFC, both making their promotional debut. This is the City Kickboxing card, so it's very fitting that the very first fight has Kevin Jossett as a -155 favorite, going up against Kiefer Crosby at +130. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 at +110, under 2.5 -140. Let's start with Kevin Jossett, because he's actually the City Kickboxer here. I went in expecting to see something good, see something impressive. I hated his fight tape. I didn't think it was good at all, to be honest with you. I know he trains with City Kickboxing, but his striking was very unassuming. He doesn't have that much power. His schedule itself, he's fought a few decent guys and have a few decent wins on his record, but I don't know how. He's just not very good. He's not a very good wrestler. He's not a very good striker. He can get backed up a ton. He seems to have good cardio, I'll give him that. And he wears on you, and he always wins round 2 and 3. But he seems to be a slow starter here. Like, there just wasn't a lot to write home about. He just is a City Kickboxing point fighter with no other real skills to write home about, to be honest with you. His wrestling didn't look good. His jiu-jitsu didn't look good. Like, nothing looked good on this kid. He's not super old here. He's kind of, I mean, he's 30. So at that juncture, he's not old, he's not young, but usually you're a little younger when you're making your debut. He's only on this card because he trains with Volk and Izzy and the boys. That's the only reason he's on the card. So if you get him on the card for that reason, obviously you're going to try to get him a win, a la Kiefer here. Kiefer's fight tape was even more unassuming. He's 33 years old, so he's even older. He's about to enter the twilight of his career, and he's just going to get into the UFC. He trains over at SBG Ireland, which is, yes, Conor McGregor's camp. So just a little leeway being put on both ends here. Hey, we'll give Izzy's guy a fight if you give Conor's guy a fight, and they're fighting each other. Here we go. His fight tape was also terrible. He has the most notable win on his record, beating Alex Oliveira, Cowboy Oliveira. But one, Cowboy Oliveira is truly a lightweight that just doesn't want to cut weight anymore. And two, he's just a shell of himself. He's fighting for money. I know he has like 10 kids or something crazy like that, and he has to fight in order to stay afloat and pay child support. That's not a joke. He's literally fighting to pay child support. So Kiefer went out there and got the job done, but he didn't look good doing it. I know it says he got a first round finish over Alex, but Alex was kind of winning the fight prior to. He's very, very hittable. This guy goes out there like a tank and just tries to put your lights out. Not a lot of good technique, not really any wrestling to speak of, no jujitsu. Like this guy literally just marches forward, kind of like Nick Naragamenu style, and tries to put your lights out. That's all he wants to do, but he himself is very, very hittable in the process. So what you have is basically a contender series fight where I honestly wouldn't pick either one of them in the contender series. I think they're both trash. I think they're both ass, but what are you going to do? Somebody's got to win this fight. So I'll just go ahead and ride with the city kickboxer here. And I'll go ahead and I'll pick Kevin. Do I want to bet Kevin? Absolutely not. I want no part of betting Kevin, to be honest with you. However, there's only 12 fights on this card, so we're going to be forced into action on some of these, unfortunately. I hate that very first fight, but I hate the second one just as much. We have Shane Young, another city kickboxer, as a minus 160 favorite going up against Gabriel Miranda at plus 135. Over under set at 2.5, over 2.5 at plus 105, under 2.5 at minus 135. Ah, God, let's go back into it. Let's just dive right back in because these are terrible. Let's start with Shane Young. Shane Young is kind of like Kevin, a city kickboxer that doesn't really have much power, to be honest with you. He's a point fighter. His wrestling is not good. He's able to go out there and just get taken down over and over. Like Builder took him down multiple times. Omar Morales took him down multiple times. Devitt Klein just head kicked him to hell. I don't know why he was ever in a fight with Alexander Volkanovski. And he didn't understand either. That's why he went in and decided to train with him after that fight. So good move on his part. But yeah, to be honest with you, his wins are in the UFC. He has 2 wins in the UFC. Neither guy is still in the UFC because they were frauds. At the end of the day, he's literally just a point fighter. Now he is going to have the crowd behind him, just like Kevin in the previous fight. This is the Australian on the card. The only reason these guys are in the UFC and the only reason they're on this card is because they're from the home country of Australia. So in a close fight, you just take the Australian. However, in Shane Young's circumstance, I don't think it's going to be a close fight because Gabriel Miranda is the definition of kill or be killed. When you look at his record, he has 16 wins and like 14 of them are by submission. It's insane. Basically, every single one of his wins are by sub. So it doesn't go to the judges, to be honest with you. Does he have any good wins on his record? No. This thing is padded as shit. He's fighting guys that are 1-3 and 0-7, 1-3, 2-1, 0-8. Cool, 6-0. 22-19, 5-0, 0-0, 5-1, 5-5. I mean, at this point, he fought that dude that was 5-5, and he had 22. He has 22 fights now. He has 20 fights into his career, and he's fighting someone that's 5-5. Very concerning. He just wants to pad his record, but he does train at MMA Masters, which is nice. MMA Masters is the gym where you have Colby Covington is probably the biggest name there. You have Nate the Train training at MMA Masters. You have some pretty decent guys there, to be honest with you. And they're all pretty good grapplers. I'll be honest with you. Miranda's jiu-jitsu, he is a black belt and he is legitimate on the ground. This dude's ground game is very, very, very good. His striking, non-existent. His cardio, it's awful. His cardio is so bad. That's why I don't care about Shane Young being from Australia, because this isn't going to see the judges' scorecards. Miranda's going to go out there, he's going to take him down, and he's going to sub him right away, or he's going to go out there, he's going to struggle, and then he's going to fade and get taken out later on. I don't know which one is going to happen. However, I do know that Shane Young has a subpar takedown defense. It's at like 63% or something terrible like that. And Miranda was able to go out there and take down Benoit Saint Denis in his last fight multiple times. They were panic takedowns, but he got them. So if he goes out there and tries to do the same thing to Shane Young, if he takes Shane Young down, he's probably going to finish him. And if he doesn't finish him right away, Shane Young's going to wear on him, and then he's just going to fold. So the best thing to do is probably the under 2.5, but you're giving me plus money on the guy that actually has a true UFC caliber skill set. Shane Young striking, I'm not sure is UFC caliber. His wrestling definitely isn't. His jiu-jitsu definitely isn't. Gabriel Miranda, his striking definitely is not UFC caliber. His wrestling probably isn't, but his jiu-jitsu is. So at least there's one good aspect of one fighter here, and it just happens to be on the underdog side. So the pick is going to be Gabriel Miranda. The bet's going to be Gabriel Miranda, and it feels gross. Next fight of the night, we have some more hometown cooking. We have another city kickboxer in Blood Diamond. I don't even remember what his real name is at this juncture. He's a plus 250 dog going up against Charlie Radke at minus 310. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 plus 150. Under 2.5 at minus 195. Let's start with Blood Diamond. He's 3-2, and he's a city kickboxer. That's the Mike Mathia. That's the only reason he's in the UFC is because he's best friends with Izzy. Again, not a lot of good stuff going on here. He has 2 losses, and they're both in the UFC. Losing to Jeremiah Wells, no problem. I understand. Jeremiah Wells is actually a good fighter. Getting tossed around the octagon by Orion Koski, not the greatest luck. Koski is not a good fighter. Blood Diamond did show his striking more in that one. Jeremiah Wells ran across the octagon and took him down right away. Orion took him down, but Blood Diamond was able to get back up, and he actually won a round in the UFC. He definitely won that second round against Orion Koski. Had him hurt with a crazy spinning back elbow. He has a very fast head kick. Like, the dude striking actually is legit. I know that they say he has over 100 pro kickboxing fights and no one can find them. We don't know if this number is skewed. We think Izzy might be exaggerating a little bit. Why can't we find any of these fights? But we do see in the octagon, like, there's no hiding it when you're on a UFC pay-per-view, and it is good. His striking is actually legitimately good. Takedown defense chilling at like 70%. It's not the greatest. He's learning. You see that with all of these kickboxers. They're trying, they're getting better, but their takedown defense, you just want to take them down. And his jiu-jitsu is definitely non-existent. He doesn't know what's happening on the ground. So he wants this to be a stand-up fight. Is he going to get that with Charlie Radke? Honestly, I have no idea. This is another city kickboxing versus MMA Masters matchup. And what does MMA Masters have? Grapplers. Charlie Radke actually has a pretty decent wrestling, to be honest with you. But he's 33 years old making his debut. So again, this card is just fucking volatile. It's not good whatsoever. You have a lot of weirdness going on. Charlie trains at a grapple heavy camp. Charlie fought in a regional scene that was very grapple heavy in CFFC. You see nothing but grapplers come out of there. You see Pat Sabatini, you see Jeremiah Wells, you see Sean Brady, you see all these guys that are grapple heavy guys coming out of this promotion, and that's who he's the champ of. So it's a good promotion, don't get me wrong. I mean, that's a great promotion to come from. It's actually my favorite one of between that and what's the one in Russia, M1 Global. If you come from CFFC or M1 Global, I'm actually looking into you and kind of having respect as you come into the octagon here. So being a CFFC champ is a good thing. His jiu-jitsu is good. His jiu-jitsu is actually top notch when I was looking at it. He is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. So if this thing touches the ground, he's going to submit Blood Diamond with the quickness. My problem is he likes to brawl. He's not a good striker, but it kind of reminds me of like Colby Covington in some of his fights. He just goes out there and strikes. He struck a little bit with Robbie Lawler. He obviously struck a lot with Kamaru Usman. He just goes out there and just strikes sometimes. And that's what I see with Charlie all the time. He has a pretty decent double, and he has really, really good jiu-jitsu. Heavy top game and will submit you with the quickness. But he just wants to test himself out on the feet all the time. And I don't think he should do that with Blood Diamond. I think he needs to take him down right away. So you have a clear advantage for Charlie on the ground. You have a clear advantage for Blood Diamond on the feet. What is going to happen in regards to the wrestling? Where is this fight taking place? Only Charlie knows that answer. But the great Paul Shaughnessy one time said, you don't bring Steve Garcia over to Asia to win. And that's kind of what I'm feeling here. Charlie is a 33-year-old debutant in the UFC, fighting a hometown guy with the champs who's main eventing the card. It's his best friend. They want to get Blood Diamond a win, and they know Charlie loves to scrap, and they know he's in front of a crowd. So I think Charlie might take the bait, and I think he might try to strike a little, and I think he might get put out. So the pick is going to be Charlie because he clearly has the avenue to win. However, I'm kind of staring at this under 2.5. It's juiced. So if you want to chase a number, I think the under 2.5 hits. I think that's a pretty safe bet. But if you want to pull that trigger at the hometown guy, Blood Diamond at plus 250, I don't hate it. So the pick is going to be Charlie. The bet's going to be the under 2.5. But I might have a little poke at Blood Diamond at plus 250. Next fight of the night is one I just keep going back and forth with. It just confuses the fuck out of me. We have Nazareth Hakparas at minus 485 going up against Landon Quiones at plus 370. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 145. Under 2.5 at plus 115. Nazareth sucks. Nazareth's actually a good fighter. He just sucks because he's just not living up to his potential. He's only 28 years old, but he's been in the octagon since he was a child, man. He's been in the UFC since 2017. He's been in there 5 years now. I'm sorry, 6 years now. It's 2023. So he's been in the UFC for 6 years. He's 28 years old. So he was 22 when he started. And you would see usually when someone comes in that young and they show all that potential, you kind of watch them mature in the octagon, finally get to like top 5 status. No, he's just kind of floating. You give him someone that's not UFC caliber, he will kill them. You give him someone that's actually a top 15 guy and he gets murdered. So I don't know. Marcin Held, not the greatest loss. It is what it is. He beats Joaquim Silva, who's not good. He beats Mark Diakese, who unfortunately isn't that great. I don't honestly know who Thibault is, but I know he's no longer in the promotion. Drew Dober, top 15 guy, got knocked out. They give him Alex Munoz, who is just okay and one-dimensional. Rafa Garcia is actually pretty decent, but he took that on like a week's notice, went out there and dominated. Then they gave him Dan Hooker, top 10 guy, and he got absolutely killed, and he got out-grappled by an Australian striker. Then you give him, all right, let's give him Bobby Green. We like this kid. We want to give him someone, propel him into the top 15. Let's give him old man Bobby Green, who only strikes. What does Nazareth do? Gets outstruck. Bobby Green landed like 180 strikes on this dude's forehead. So, yeah, not the greatest looks. And then they give him John Medeski, a 38-year-old kickboxer that he has already trained with for a long time at TriStar. So the UFC likes Nazareth. They want to give him wins. It's just he's fumbling the bag, man. I mean, anytime he takes a step up, he just can't get the job done. So, what do you consider Landon Quiones? Definitely not a step up. Landon's actually taking this fight on short notice. Nazareth was supposed to fight Sam Patterson in France. Sam Patterson had to pull out. So they gave Nazareth a fight a following week against anyone that was willing to take the fight. And here goes our boy from Tough, Landon Quiones, 27 years old. I mean, trains had a good camp at Killcliff FC over with Michael Chandler and Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns. It's a really, really good camp there. But he's green, man. I know they're almost the same age, but when it comes to experience, nowhere close. He's fought good competition in regards to his losses. And we all saw him lose to Jason Knight on The Ultimate Fighter. I don't know why he took him down. He got triangle choked right away. Jason Knight, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So I don't know what his thoughts were there. And then his other only career losses to Muhammad Naimov, who we saw go out there and KO Jamie Malarkey a few months ago. So the other guy is actually 1-0 in the UFC. So he has okay losses. He only lost to guys that are UFC caliber. However, his wins aren't really against guys that are UFC caliber. I actually like Landon. I think Landon's striking's pretty good. It shows a lot of KOs, but he's very technical. I don't really see him as a power puncher. I just think he's really fast. I think he's really athletic. And his striking's not terrible. You see that this kid is new and he's younger, and you see him improving every fight. Every fight I watched in fight tape, he looked better and better and better each time, excluding that Jason Knight fight in The Ultimate Fighter. Also, he has sneaky good wrestling. For someone that didn't have like an extensive wrestling background, with his athleticism, he goes out there and he has a pretty good single and a pretty good blast double. Like, he has some good wrestling in his back pocket. But I did notice he wrestles mostly when he's getting hit. He wants to strike, and if he's getting clipped, he panic wrestles. And that's also what we saw in the Jason Knight fight. Jason Knight hit him one time, he panicked and then shot a takedown on a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, got tapped out. He panic wrestles. So here's the problem. Nasser Hakparas has no jujitsu. He's predominantly a striker. He has a pretty decent little sneaky double himself, but he has nothing to do with it. He can't submit you. He has no top control, and he definitely has nothing off of his back. So do I see a world where Landon goes out there and wrestles? Absolutely. And if Landon went out there and got the takedowns, I think he could win this fight. The problem is Nazareth has 80% takedown defense, so it's not easy to just go out and take him down with ease. Secondly, Landon prefers to strike. He panic wrestles. So, in order for Landon to actually do the game plan he needs to win, he needs to get his ass beat. So that is a scary proposition. That has live bet written all over it. However, he's already a plus 370 dog. I mean, what else do you need? I don't know how much the line would move. So it's just weird, man. If he's able to take down Nazareth, Landon on 3-week notice could definitely win this fight. If he tries to strike, I think he's going to get pieced the fuck up. And I just got to just stick with what's been going on here with Nazareth. If you are a top 15 guy, you are going to beat Nazareth. If you are not, you don't stand the chance. So the pick is going to be Nazareth. The bet should be Nazareth, but I fucking hate the line. But Landon's, again, he got tapped out on the Ultimate Fighter. But when it comes to his just overall durability, he's really durable. He's actually very, very durable. So I don't see Nazareth knocking him out, and Nazareth doesn't knock a lot of people out as of late anyway. So the pick is going to be Nazareth, but you can't bet that line. You're going to have to bet him by decision. But God, if Landon gets one takedown out there, live bet Landon before that line goes too crazy on his side. All right, then the next fight of the night is more Greece. We have Jamie Mullarkey, aforementioned Jamie Mullarkey, as a minus 265 favorite going up against John Medesi at plus 215. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 at minus 215. Under 2.5 at plus 165. Let's go ahead and start with Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey is your city kickboxer, so he's the one that the crowd is going to be behind. Jamie Mullarkey is someone that I've continually tried to fade. I don't think Jamie Mullarkey is good at all. I think he is the definition of a generalist. His jiu-jitsu's okay. His wrestling's okay. He will get to a fight. That's what he does. And his striking's not bad, but it's not good. He gets clipped quite a bit, but he has a lot of high volume out there. He's technical, but he's hittable. It's a weird synopsis with Jamie Mullarkey. He's not a bad fighter, but he's a little chinny. His fight IQ is questionable. If you can do everything well, sometimes I think you need to switch up what you're doing here. For instance, in this fight, I need you to go out and take down the kickboxer. Is Jamie going to do that? I don't know. He's probably going to strike with him for a little bit, to be honest with you. So I don't really like Jamie's fight IQ or his chin. But again, he is not bad anywhere. He is the definite. If Generalist had a picture, it would be good old Jamie Mullarkey. Generalist is not a saying for John Medesi. He is just John McDessie is a really small kickboxer. He's not good. He was at TriStar for a very, very long time, had a falling out with them. Right now he's currently at Fight Ready. I love Fight Ready as a camp. However, Fight Ready predominantly makes you wrestle. He can't out wrestle Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey is a pretty decent wrestler, so I don't know what he's really learning at Fight Ready. I think he feels kind of lost. He's 38 years old, and again, the way you beat Jamie Mullarkey is exactly what Muhammad Naimov did. You go out there and you knock him out. Michael Johnson had him rocked. Who did Jamie Mullarkey fight recently? It wasn't Drew Dober. Sorry, let me pull it back up for you. Jamie Mullarkey, we were talking about how he's a little chinny here. He got knocked out by Muhammad, as we had stated. Francisco Prado clipped him actually in like the third round in their fight. Michael Johnson had him on skates. Jalen Turner put him out. Devontae Smith had him on skates, and then Common Worthy just took out, and Faraz Ziem has zero power whatsoever. Same with Brad Riddell. So he fought a whole bunch of guys with zero power, and if you have any sort of power, you put him on skate. So that's not good. The good thing for Jamie Mullarkey and why we're going to go ahead and lock Jamie Mullarkey is because if he wants to wrestle, he wins this fight. If he wants to strike, John McDessie struggles with guys that go in and pressure him. That's all Jamie Mullarkey does. And John McDessie, you're going to hear it over and over and over again because they have a knockout win since Shane Campbell in 2015. Yeah, that is true. He did rock Ignacio Bahamundes in their fight, and that was just 2 years ago. So that is something to keep in mind. It's not like he's not doing any damage. But Francisco Trinaldo just literally walked him down and said, I'm bigger than you, and dominated the fight. And when it came to Nazareth is a striker, and took McDussie down twice and was able to win the fight. That's coming from Nazareth, who is not that great of a wrestler. David Malarkey's definitely the better wrestler. So that made me go back and look at his record. He's not fighting any wrestlers. Ross Pearson, Jesus Pinedo, Londo Venata, Yancey, Donald Cerrone. None of these guys wrestle like at all. Alan Patrick does, and Alan Patrick went out and got a win over him. So yeah, he's not fighting any wrestlers yet. He's not having the best takedown defense. So Jamie could take him down. Jamie could just walk him down. Jamie's going to win this fight. So the pick is going to be Jamie. The bet's going to be Jamie Malarkey. I'm a Jamie Malarkey hater. I can't stand Jamie Malarkey, but he's in his hometown. They're going to go to decision, and he's going to get the nod and get the job done. All right, next fight of the night is one of the Twitter civil wars. I don't really know what to do with this either. I keep going back and forth with this fight, but I at this point I might just have to enjoy it as a fan because it is a really fun fight. We have Jack Jenkins as a minus 205 favorite going up against Jose Mariscal, El Chape at plus 170. Over 2.5 is minus 210. Under 2.5 plus 160. Let's start with Chape Mariscal. Chape is the guy that went out and had that banger with Trevor Peek. The thing with him is people call him Chinny. I don't know. He got deaded by Joe Anderson Brito, but that guy hits like a truck. And if anyone got hit with that punch, you're going out. It shows that he has a loss to Steve Garcia, but that was a premature stop, to be honest with you. And then Sean Soriano, I think, did drop him. But Sean Soriano's a good striker, and ultimately he didn't get knocked out. We saw him go up a weight class to fight Trevor Peek in his UFC debut on short notice. And he took all those shots. He didn't go out. So I don't know how chinny he is. I know he doesn't have the greatest chin, but I don't think it's something that you need to fade. His striking himself, he's a little scrappy. It's not the most technical on the feet, to be honest with you, but his wrestling is sneaky good. No one talks about it. Like, he went toe-to-toe wrestling with Bryce Mitchell in his first career loss. Or was that his first career loss? It was not his first career loss. But still, he went toe-to-toe with Bryce Mitchell wrestling, and he made Bryce work. Like, that was a very, very, very close fight. Yes, he has 6 losses, but you got to see who he lost to. He lost to Frank. I don't know who Frank is, but Gregor Gillespie is a ranked guy in the UFC. Bryce Mitchell is ranked in the UFC. Joe Anderson Brito is ranked in the UFC. Steve Garcia is in the UFC on a winning streak. I don't believe he's ranked. Sean Soriano was in the UFC twice, actually, but got cut as of late, but is UFC caliber. So, yes, he has 6 losses on the regional scene, but 5 of them have been or are currently in the UFC. So he's not losing to scrubs by any means. He is a very good fighter. His jiu-jitsu is pretty decent. He trains over in Elevation, so his cardio is good. Training partners with Kamaru Usman and Justin Gaethje. My boy Taiwan Claxton, Speedy. Like, there's a lot of talent around him, and I think the best thing about him right now is that he trains with Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is notorious for battering people's legs, and that's exactly what Jack Jenkins does. Jack Jenkins breaks legs. When he goes out there, he leg kicks you and he breaks your leg. Like, he's broke multiple legs in his fights. His striking all in all is good. He is the Australian here in this matchup, so you do have to be careful of that. He's 30 years old, and he had an issue wrestling, but he worked on it, and his wrestling actually got a lot better. I still think Chepe is the better wrestler, and I don't think people are realizing that. But Jax did get good. Mostly his offensive wrestling got better, though, opposed to his defensive. His offensive wrestling looks good. His jiu-jitsu was also a problem. He had a lot of problems to start his career, having back-to-back submission losses, and hasn't lost since, and actually got one of those wins back. And knocked out the guy that subbed him when it was only his 3rd career fight. So, 4th career fight. So, good for him. He's a really good fighter. I like Jack Jenkins. I bet him against Jamal Emmers. I love Jamal Emmers, so that was tough to do, but I thought the line was off, and sure enough, he got the job done for us. Do I know if he got do I know he should have got that nod? Probably not. But it was close enough, and considering the line he fought for my money, it is what it is. I like Jack Jenkins a lot. I love Chepe Mariscal a lot. I don't want either one of them to lose, to be honest with you. But there is a chance this goes to decision. Chepe is not that subjective to like his getting chin checked, and Jack doesn't hit that hard. He kicks really hard. He doesn't hit that hard. And Jack is very, very durable himself. And Chepe, he hits okay, but he doesn't hit that hard. So I just see this going to decision, to be honest with you. And we have an Australian crowd with an Australian in a close fight. It's gonna go to Jack. So the pick is gonna be Jack. The bet is gonna be Jack by decision. Oh man, I really, really, really want to support Chepe Mariscal, but I think there's going to be some home cooking. So the pick is going to be Jack, and the bet is going to be Jack in a really fun and close fight. All right, next fight of the night is not going to be fun. This is probably the hardest fight on the card for me to call. We have Carlos Olberg at minus 270 going up against Da Un Jung at plus 220. I actually don't have the over-under pulled up right away for this card. Give me 1 second and I will get it for you. Over-under on this fight, over 1.5 and under 1.5 at a straight pick 'em. Minus 115. So I don't know. We have his picture up here. Let's start with Carlos Orberg, another one of Izzy's boys, main training partner. He is 32 years old, so he's in his prime. He's another glory kickboxer. He's a very, very, very accredited striker. He's going to have the crowd behind him, obviously, being the Australian in this matchup. Jiu-jitsu and wrestling, I don't know. I legitimately have no idea because nobody has tried to take this man down. We had Kennedy tried to once when he was rocked. I don't really count it as a takedown. And Eeyore tried to take him down once, but come on, it's Eeyore. He's one of the worst sightings the UFC ever had. So at the end of the day, he's very untested when it comes to his grappling. So is he going to get tested here with Da Un Jung? I don't know. I know if they keep it on the feet, Carlos Olberg is a glory kickboxer, and Da Un Jung already faced one of those in Dustin Jacoby, and Dustin Jacoby knocked him out in round 1. So I don't know. I like Carlos Olberg. I think he's pretty good. But he is someone that I always wanted to fade just because that Kennedy fight, I saw his cardio and it was bad. This dude has zero cardio to speak of. And not only that, it's when he's very, very the Fabio Charant fight, his next fight was very low volume. He was really high volume his first fight, gassed out, and then hardly threw anything after that. He's scared, he's tentative, he's in his own head. I don't really know what to think of him, but his next 2 wins were first round finishes, so I think he's back to his cocky self, and I think that could get him in some trouble. It's someone that's pretty durable. Da Un Jung is someone I would historically say is durable. Again, he has been knocked out 2 fights ago. But that could have just been a one-off. That's the only time he's ever been knocked out in his career. Da Un Jung is a really, really big boy here. His wrestling's okay. He has this nice little trip. I don't know if William Knight's defense is just that bad or if Da Un Jung's wrestling is good. I'm not too sure. But he at least has some semblance of wrestling. We've seen him go to it in the past. His striking is actually pretty good. And I know he got knocked out by Dustin Jacoby, but he was doing fine to stand up with him up until the point he got caught. He's going to have an 1.5 reach advantage, which is nice. Carlos Olberg is not used to having a reach disadvantage. Jung has definitely fought the better competition, and his cardio seemed to check out, to be honest with you. He's a little hittable. I don't like that at all, especially going up against Carlos Olberg. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think the line is off. Do I want to bet Jung? No. Do I think Olberg wins? Yeah, I'm definitely picking Olberg as the official pick to win. However, a bet side, I kind of want to pass. I don't want to deal with this fight because my gut is screaming the line is off bet Jung. And that's what I'm going to do. Fuck it. The pick is going to be Carlos, but I'll go ahead and I'll just have a single small shot on Da Un Jung. I don't know how, I don't know why, but my gut is screaming that Da Un Jung is going to have a game plan here. Carlos is not that good in his gas tank. I just need to fade the gas tank. And then that's going to take us to the main card. If you haven't already, give this video a like, hit subscribe, give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok. Wherever there's social media, there is the Stacks and Stacks podcast. And this is the first fight of the main card, but it's really the true main event. We have Tyson Pedro, the Australian at -125, going up against Anton Turkali at -105. It's Pleasure Man fight week, baby. We got the over-under set at 1.5. Over 1.5, -125. Under 1.5, -105. But I'll give you an asterisk with those lines because this line is flipping back and forth. Literally 3 times today, I've seen Anton as a dog, the favorite, the dog, the favorite. Like he keeps going back and forth. People don't know what to do with this fight, mainly because of Tyson Pedro. Tyson Pedro's in his hometown, which is nice. He has really good jujitsu. Like it's actually sneaky good. His striking's okay, but he really just hits really, really hard. His wrestling, I've seen some pretty good wrestling technique out of this kid. Like you think he has it all. He's been training at City Kickboxing. He has the crowd behind him in Australia. Why on earth is he not a bigger favorite? His fucking gas tank is atrocious. It's terrible. He has 4 career losses. One of them was his last loss was his last fight to Mendeces Bukakis, simply because he gassed out. Lost to Mauricio Shogun Hua in 2018. So Shogun was like 40. Only because he gassed out. A loss to OSP via straight arm lock. Just a bad look at 3 minutes getting tapped out there. And then a huge favorite over Alir Atifi getting out grapple and just held down. For someone with such a good ground game, why was he not able to do anything there? And it went 3 rounds, so he gassed out. This dude he has never won a fight outside of round 1. If he doesn't put you out in round 1, you're going to win. That's just how it's worked his entire career. It's been that way with this man since 2013. It's been a 10-year career, and he has never won a fight that has made it out of round 1. So that's exactly what I would do here. I would wait and I would bet the Pleasure Man. If he's not a dog when this goes off, he's going to be after round 1. I'll tell you that, especially with the crowd cheering on Pedro. But the Pleasure Man is probably still going to be there. First and foremost, he had an interview saying he was a pleasure man because he kept pleasing MILFs at a young age or something crazy like that. Like, this guy's the man. He's so cool. He's definitely a top 5 favorite for absolutely no reason. He will never be champ. He's not that good of a fighter. He's kind of a generalist himself, but he's just funny. He's like cocky, but in a funny manner. It's not distasteful. It's just a humorous cockiness about this kid. He's only 27 years old, so he's going to continue to grow each time. He was originally a striker. Then he found wrestling, and he's been wrestling in all of his fights, and he's been going for crazy jiu-jitsu, like submissions his last few fights. This dude's all over the place. He is 0-2 in the UFC, which sucks. But you got to look at who he lost to. He lost to Jailton Almeida, and then in a catchweight fight that he took on short notice. And then he lost to Vitor Petrino, who is just an absolute stud and on the rise. So he lost to 2 really, really good guys. So that's it. Otherwise, he's taken fights against Alexander Gustafsson in his hometown, and like exhibition stuff. Like he's doing everything he can. He fought over in Brave. Brave is another good regional scene. So going from Brave to Dana White Contender Series to the UFC is a pretty good path here. Again, he's a generalist. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good wrestling. He's okay striking. He's not bad anywhere. He's not good anywhere. His cardio, it's okay. It's not. He slows down a touch, but Tyson Pedro gasses after round 1. So if my boy Pleasure Man, let me take that back. When my boy Pleasure Man makes it out of round 1, you smash that live bet button because it's going to be something crazy. And it's going to be Tyson Pedro -400 or something. You take the plus money on Anton when this thing makes it out of the first round and watch the Pleasure Man put pleasure into your pockets, baby. So the pick is going to be Anton. The bet is going to be Anton Turkali, the Pleasure Man. Next fight of the night is not going to be a pleasure. We have Austin Lane at +180 going up against Justin Taffa at -220. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 +180. Under 1.5 -230. Let's start with Taffa. He's the Australian in this matchup. We saw this matchup a few months ago in Jacksonville on the 25th of June. So it was my birthday. I remember watching this live. And we had an eye poke after 30 seconds. Nothing really happened. But I did see how slow Taffa was compared to Lane. Irony is that this fight was taking place in Jacksonville, Florida, which is a hometown for Lane. Lane didn't like grow up there, but he lives there now. And he played on the Jacksonville Jaguars in the NFL. So it was a home game for Lane. You have the eye poke, and now it's a hometown game for Tafa. It's over in Australia and Sydney. So funny how that works out. But Tafa itself, I guess he has okay striking. It doesn't look that good to me. And when you really look at his schedule, it's not impressive whatsoever. He knocked out Parker Porter. Parker Porter's trash. He knocked out Harry Hunsucker, by far the worst heavyweight the UFC has ever seen. Jared Vanderaa, not far behind. Jared Vanderaa, not good, cut from the promotion. Carlos Felipe, not good, cut from the promotion. Jurgen De Castro, he got KO'd by in 2 minutes. That's not good. Not good, and got cut by the promotion. He has a win over Juan Adams, not good, cut from the promotion, and that's his record. So yeah, he's fought anyone he fought is no longer in the UFC outside of Parker Porter, who just got knocked out again. So he might get cut any day now. Yeah, not a good look. I don't know what his wrestling is like because we haven't seen it tested. No idea what his jiu-jitsu is like, but it can't be good. He doesn't have like a crazy record. He's only 6-3. He's had under 10 pro fights. So he got into the UFC super, super young. So he could still be improving, but just not a lot to be impressed by. Lucky for him, there's not a lot to be impressed by Austin Lane either. He is an athletic freak. That's about it. He's not a good fighter. He's an athlete. His striking not good, but he hits hard. He's kind of chinny himself. He's 35 years old, just doing this thing. He's been knocked out all 3 of his losses. One of them to Greg Hardy. That's not a good look. I have seen him get takedowns in his Contender Series fight and a vicious ground and pound. Once he gets full mount on you, you are in some trouble. He does hit decently hard. But again, zero technique in anything he does. He just muscles everything. But he's fighting chunky, non-athletic Justin Tafa. So you take the experience, the UFC experience at least of Tafa, or do you take the athleticism of Austin Lane? Which one gasses first? I want to say Tafa, but I really think Austin Lane gasses first. He even his Contender Series fight, he was tired before he got that finish. So I don't think Austin Lane can go for 3 rounds. And I've seen Justin Tafa do it. He lost when he went 3 rounds, but at least I saw him go 3 rounds. I'll give the cardio edge to Tafa. But I don't think that's going to matter. I think this thing is going to finish early. I think someone's going to clip someone. I don't think Lane's going to wrestle. But if he does, he has a route to victory. If he takes down Tafa, I don't see Tafa getting up. Also, Tafa has missed weight before at heavyweight. Only him and Chris Barnett have done that. So keep an eye out on Tafa on the scales, to be honest with you. But I think it's just a sheer dog or pass. I mean, Tafa can crack Lane. But Tafa got knocked out by Jurgen De Castro and then fought no one with power. Like, Parker Porter's not knocking anyone out. Carlos Felipe has never gotten a knockout. Who else did he fight? Jared Vanderaa never gotten a knockout. Like, he's not fighting anyone that knocks anyone out. So is his chinny? I don't know. Jurgen De Castro thinks so. Austin Lane hits harder than Jurgen De Castro, so there is a good chance he's chinny. So you could have 2 chinny fighters. They both swing hard. Neither one can really do any sort of grappling or wrestling. If anyone does, it's the dog. So give me the dog in this instance. The pick is going to be Lane, and the pet's going to be Lane. It feels gross. I do like the under 1.5, but the 1.5 is steamed to -230. So fuck that. Just go dog or pass, baby. Pick Lane, bet Lane. All right. Next fight of the night is going to be Murder. We have Manel Kopp at -410 going up against Felipe Dos Santos at +320. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 +150. Under 2.5 -195. Hear me out. UFC might have a lawsuit coming their way because Felipe Dos Santos should not be fighting Manel Kopp at all. Felipe Dos Santos is only 22 years old. He's very hittable on the feet. His jiu-jitsu is pretty good. But his wrestling is god awful. He was originally supposed to fight in the Contender Series like 2 or 3 weeks ago. His opponent missed weight. Manel Kopp was supposed to fight Kai Kara France. He got hurt. So you had 2 fighters that had fights canceled right around the same time, and the UFC said, "Fuck it, let's just have them fight each other." The problem with that is Manel Kopp is a top 5 flyweight in the world. Poor Felipe Dos Santos is a 22-year-old kid. Like, what is going on here? I know he's undefeated. I don't know if that's how you're trying to justify this, But you can back this kid up. He's extremely hittable, and he has zero wrestling. And he's going, and it's a debut across the country in Australia. He's going against Manel Kopp, who hits hard. He's the hardest hitter in the flyweight division. He has great striking. He has good experience over in China and in the UFC. This man is so good. They had his debut fight was against Alejandro Pantoja. Yes, the current champion at flyweight, and it was a close fight. Like, what are we doing here? His wrestling is only 69% takedown defense. Maybe Dos Santos can take him down and hold on for dear life. But Kopp is also a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Like he's good on the ground. We saw him almost tap out Dvorak like 3 times. And he keeps saying he wants to show it off. Maybe he does it in this matchup. I don't know. God, he's gonna kill him. I know Cap has missed weight a few times, so keep an eye on that. Maybe something weird happens with this weigh-in, but Cap is good cardio. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good striking. He's the better wrestler. He's better experience. He is the better aged fighter. He's only 29 himself. He's in his prime. He's gonna kill him. So the pick is gonna be Cop. The bet's gonna be Cop by absolute murder. Cop inside the distance. I don't want to. Don't take Cop by KO. He keeps saying he wants a sub. He might try to do it to this 22-year-old kid. So just go inside the distance. Do not pick KO. Next fight of the night, you might be able to pick KO here or a decision. We'll see. Alexander Volkov minus 250 going up against Tai Tuivasa plus 205. Over under basically a pick 'em at over 1.5, it being minus 115, under 1.5 minus 110. Let's start with Volkov. I don't care what anyone says. Volkov is going to win this fight. Volkov is a good striker. He has good cardio. He has sneaky good jiu-jitsu. His wrestling's not terrible. He's 34 years old at heavyweight, so that is like the prime for heavyweight. He has a 5-inch reach advantage here. Like, there's nothing but good things for Volkov. He has the better strength of schedule. When you look at his losses, he lost to Tom Aspinall. He's about to fight Gane in the number one contender series fight. Speaking of Cyril Gane, fought Cyril Gane, the former interim heavyweight champion of the world. He fought Curtis Blades, who has been the number 3 heavyweight for like 5 years now. He fought Derek Lewis, who has fought for the title twice. Those are his fights in the UFC that he's lost. Like, he's fought the worst guy that he has lost to in the UFC is Derek Lewis, and he was dominating that fight. That was the McGregor Habib fight card. He was dominating, and then he got clipped with literally 20 seconds left in the fight. He got caught. Derek Lewis is the hardest knockout. He's the hardest hitter in UFC history. He painted a picture. He dominated for 13 minutes. And then he got clipped in the last 30 seconds. That sucks. He got put out. But other than that, yeah, these guys that he lost to are crazy. He beat Overeem. He beat Walt Harris. Is just nothing. Neither is Greg Hardy. Fabricio Verdum's a former champ. Stefan Struve, good. Roy Nelson, good. Marcin Tybura, ranked, honestly. Jairzinho Rosenstruck, ranked. Alexander Romanov, my boy that no one else loves. I love Alexander Romanov. Everyone hates him. He is a weird dude. But he went out there and dominated him. So yeah, Volkov is a very good fighter. On the flip side, you have the hometown guy in Tai Tuivasa. I understand the Tai Tuivasa love. Everyone gave up with Tai Tuivasa. At one point, he was in a loser leaves town match last year. He was fighting, God, who was it? He was fighting Stefan Struve, and whoever lost was going to get caught. But literally, in 2020. That he went on to win that fight by knockout. He beat Harry Hunsucker, who's absolute, again, the worst heavyweight ever in UFC history. He fought Greg Hardy, who's god-awful. He knocked out Augusta Sakai, who's also been cut from promotion. He got cracked by Derek Lewis and then hit him back and put Derek Lewis out. So good win there, but it was greasy. He was losing that fight up until he didn't. Then he got sacrificed to Cyril Gane and he got sacrificed to Sergey Pavlovich. So not bad losses at all. I'll give him that. But he had some losses along the way early on in his first initial run with the UFC where Junior Dos Santos beat the shit out of him. Lagoi Ivanov, that didn't age well. Sergey Spivak, we just saw last week, was able to take him down and sub him pretty easily. Yeah, his jiu-jitsu is non-existent. His wrestling is non-existent. His striking, he's kind of hittable. He has high volume. and he hits really, really hard. He has a shit ton of power, but that's all he has here is a puncher's chance. Volkov is the better striker. He's the better wrestler. He's a better jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's fought the better competition. He's the overall better fighter. But Ty can catch him. That's the only thing, and it's in Ty's hometown. I keep seeing a fucking shoey in my head, but and everyone's choosing Ty because of the line. I think you're getting a discount here. I think Volkov should be a bigger favorite, to be honest with you. He's so much better. They fight 10 times. Volkov wins 8, and I think he gets caught 2 of them. Just don't let this be one of the 2. So the pick is going to be Volkov. The bet is going to be Volkov. And that takes us to the main event. If you haven't already, give this video a like, hit subscribe, give a follow over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever social media. There's a Stats and Stacks podcast. We have Izzy Adesanaya at minus 650 going up against Sean Strickland at plus 470. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 at minus 105. Under 4.5 at minus 125. Let's start with Izzy. Israel's good. He's one of the middleweight goats. You can go back and forth between him and Anderson and which one is the goat. No wrong answer. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage here. He has great striking. He's going to have the hometown crowd. His jiu-jitsu's okay. It's not as bad as people think it is. Cardio's great. Never see him tired. Great schedule. He has a good get-up game if you do take him down. I know Robert Whitaker in their last fight took him down 4 times. I know Marvin Vettori took him down a few times. Alex Pereira took him down once in their first fight. So it's not like he's impervious to getting taken down. You can get him on the ground. He just has a pretty decent get-up game outside of the Jan Blachowicz fight. For whatever reason, Jan was able to hold him down. And I think that reason was weight. He moved up to 205 there. He only weighed in at like 203 holding a pizza. Jan was sucking weight, probably weighed 30 to 40 pounds more on fight day. So it is what it is there. But Izzy, not a lot to say about him. He is a better striker than everybody. Better cardio than everyone, better schedule than everyone at middleweight. The guy is an absolute stud and a goat that we're going to talk about for quite some time. On the flip side, we just talked about how he was taken down a few times. That was a few people's game plans going into the fight to get the win. I think it has to be the game plan for Sean Strickland because he's not going to outstrike him. Sean Strickland has more volume, a lot more volume, so he could try 2 things. He can try to out volume Izzy because he's not going to knock him out. Izzy's very durable. I know Alex Pereira knocked him out 2 fights ago, but that was sketchy and questionable and weird. So Sean Strickland, not a lot of knockout power at all. So you can either try to out-volume him, Izzy, or he has to take him down. I never trust non-wrestlers to wrestle for a win. It never works out. However, Sean is very good on the ground, like sneaky good on the ground. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, the real deal. We saw Izzy in a rear naked choke against Marvin Vettori, so he can get caught down there. He has infinite cardio as well. Sean will fight for days over and over and over. He's a former 170 pounder, so I expected him to give up a lot of size, which he is here. But I do see that he's been training with Magomed Ankalaev and wrestling the entire time. Like he's wrestled the entire time with a Russian. So I know when he fought Alex Pereira, everyone said, Sean, you need to wrestle or you're going to die. What did Sean do? He tried to strike and he died. He got taken out real quick. I think people are saying, well, Sean has learned from that. Now he's going to wrestle. Or other people are saying, well, Sean is going to be Sean. He has a screw loose. He's going to go out there and just strike with Izzy anyway because he's prideful. I don't think that's it. I think Sean fights for money. When he says, I will fight anyone anywhere if the money's right, I believe him. I think he truly is just a prize fighter and he's fighting for money. And I think Sean realizes when you have a few pounds of gold wrapped around your waist, you get paid a whole hell of a lot more. So I think this is the one where Sean does try to wrestle. And it's not because he's scared of Izzy. Sean is not scared of anyone. But Sean knows that's the passive least resistance. And if he gets this win, he doesn't even care about being champ. He gets paid. It's just, is it going to work? It's just so weird. You never trust non-wrestlers to wrestle. And he is predominantly a striker. So in that instance, I'm going to have to go ahead and pick Izzy. but you can't bet Izzy at minus 680 or 650, and you can't add him to parlay. He's not adding anything to it. So I'm going to bet anything in Strickland. And in Strickland, I'm probably going to do a buy sub or decision prop because I don't see Sean winning any other way. I don't see Sean with a knockout. He just doesn't hit hard enough unless it's a TKO. I can see that. Excuse me. But I think it's going to end up being Sean by early sub or Sean by decision if he wins. But it's probably going to end up just being Izzy decision. But again, all those lines are steamed. So the pick's going to be Izzy. The bet is take all the money that we won earlier in the night and put a little bit on Sean to win. Just honestly, just take his money line at plus 470. Don't get greedy. And that is UFC 293. It's a weird card, not a lot of high name value, a lot of sketchiness, a lot of dogs probably going to bark. We're just trying our hardest not to get screwed here. And we're just trying our hardest to get paid, baby. Let's get it.